It's today's the 15th of July. It's a Saturday. It's 10:15 in the morning, and it's 89 degrees. And we'll get to about 101, maybe 102, probably right around 101, maybe a little bit more, tiny bit more. Tiberius is going to hit 105, and through the entire end of the month, I see this kind of weather continuing. And it's just got to get used to it. That's it. Like 8 o'clock at night, it's like 90 degrees. It's terrible. It's terrible. So what I was doing was getting up around 6 or so and shutting the air conditioner off and turning it on about 11. Give it a break, but we've decided to stop doing that because then the house warms up and then you got to cool it down again. It's just easier to just run it straight through, and that's what we're doing. And it seems, while we're trying it seems to do a little better, I don't feel myself today. Last night I fell asleep with these therapy patches I used. I was supposed to take them off before I went to bed, and I fell asleep with them on. And I feel pretty sluggish. I woke up about 4 in the morning, and I took some of this other stuff in order to get back to sleep, and I just felt like I wanted to stay in bed. It's like I don't feel sick, I just feel tired, So I'll do what I can with the broadcast, but please pray for me, okay? Pray for me to feel my old self again and rejuvenate. It could be you're supposed to wear these things 12 hours and take them off. Give your body a rest and recuperate, and I didn't do that. I fell asleep with them on. So I think I'm paying the price. So pray that I bounce back. And I got some stuff that I use for detoxing, but I don't like using it during the day. It's called Jägermeister. It's a liquor. It's 80 proof, and it has 56 macerated herbs in it. And it seems to do some, I don't want to talk about it, but I use it sometimes, but I'm not going to drink it during the day. I take like a tiny bit of it, a fraction of the shot. I don't take the fourth, third, I don't take the whole shot. And it does do some good, but anyway, it makes me, I'm just sleepy, more than anything, which means my body got to detox. So here I am. Sure, if you pray for me, I'll get better. Okay. Speaking of prayer, we have no prayer requests, just 2 toss requests. One for Foxtrot Tango Charlie FTC. Toss FTC Foxtrot Tango Charlie FTC, and toss LK Lima Kilo. LK Lima Kilo toss. No prayer requests. Answered prayer for, well, I think I put it out as an emergency prayer on Telegram, because that's what I do. If we get a prayer request and it's nighttime and I'm not about to do a live stream or anything like that, then I, rather than, post a live stream and have everybody come in and all, I put it on Telegram, which has close to 400 people, not that close, 370 something. And somebody's air conditioner went out, and they were at work, and the animals were in the house, and where they were was very hot, not unusual somewhere else. So the prayer request is that the situation gets corrected. So it did. The landlord reset the circuit breaker or something, or reset the air conditioner breaker, or one of those 2 things, I guess, and the air conditioner came back on and the animals were fine. And that's that. there's a lot of people in Israel that will leave their dogs outside and eat, but I will leave them outside up to about 91. If it peaks at 91 and they have tremendous, huge amount of shade in their area, the little ones, I'll leave them there. But that's it. If it goes to 92 or more, I don't want them out there. But when you start talking over 100, forget about it. I'm not leaving them out there. A trick you could do with dogs, if they got to be outside, is you go take a hose. It works better on dogs that have more hair than tiny short hair. You hose them down. And you give them a good hosing down. I mean, not a little spritz. A drenching. And make sure you get their head too. And that usually gets them down, cooled off for, I would say they're good for about 2 hours. If it's really hot and sunny. If they're in the shade, more. And then you do it again later in the day if you have to. And they can take it. Just like people go to a hot beach and then they jump in the swimming pool or the ocean to cool off, and then they come to lay down in the sun. Well, the dogs aren't laying down in the sun. You got to give them shade, and you don't have fur, so the water gets off you in a few minutes. But with them, they'll be damp for, if they're in the shade, probably for 2 hours, maybe longer. So that's a trick you can use. And if you're indoors and the air conditioning is broken and it's, very hot, you can't run fans, you can't do anything. Just go in the shower with them and turn the shower on and give them a good drenching. And so if you don't want them, walking through the house dripping, you can take a towel and pat them down, especially on their feet and stuff, so they're not dripping. And the water's going to stay on them in the house where they're not subject to the wind and the rain. It'll probably stay on them for 4 hours, not 6. It'll get them through the heat of the day, I think. I used to do that in Tiberias, where I lived there 30, 35 years ago, whenever, and we had no air conditioning, which almost nobody had air conditioning. And air conditioners then were 2,500 shekels, 10,000 shekels, and what was the shekel then? The shekel was probably 275, I think, something like that. Let's see. So the 10,000 shekels divided by, it's about $3,600 for an air conditioner, and that would have been a relatively small air conditioner. Like, I just bought one. It's sitting in the other room. I'm waiting for the delivery guy, and it cost me 1,000 shekels. Probably a better air conditioner than what you would get back then. And by today's currency, it was, I'll break it down, go with 3.6, $277 instead of 3,600. So the total cost for the install is going to be $527, and we budgeted $500 for it, so that's a big plus. And the reason it got up a little higher was the install, because the room we're putting it in has what they call beton, which is a hard concrete block, real hard. Heavy duty. So you have to use a special drill bit to get through it. You need a powerful drill. So we went with our regular install guy because he's pretty good and backs his work and he does a lot of the work, like with the fire thing. So he's a little higher. I probably could have got it down by $50 or $100 maybe, but I wouldn't have, and then you got to watch them. You don't know what they're going to do. They could break something. If the install goes bad, they could just leave. You don't know what's going to happen. So this guy is extremely trustworthy and reliable. He's actually a nice guy. So it's like a friend. So we use this guy. So once that gets in, I can run the air conditioning during the live streams, and we won't hear the fan because it has a silent mode and a super silent mode. So, and it's a 1 horsepower in a small room like this. My gosh, could make it into an icebox, I think. I could leave the door open, just a little gate there, and let the dogs stay in here, and they'll be reasonably cool. They do not like it very cold. They hate it. The long-haired dogs will love it, but the Pekingese can be long-hairs if you let it grow, but they don't like being cold. And it'll probably flow out and contribute. I'll just put a fan, turn the fan around when I'm not doing a broadcast, and blow the cold air out, and it'll help cool the rest of the house. And if they act nasty, like they want to break out and run around the house, eat the other dog's food and pee and poop and mark territory, which the rats do on me, I don't like it when they do that. I just really need to shut the door. The air conditioning, you could shut the door. It's not going to harm them and being plenty of airflow. And then if the power of the AC goes off at night, the room will probably stay cool for 2 hours anyway. And we'll notice it. The rest of the house will wake up. When it's not that bad, we just open the windows at night if the house isn't so hot. But anyway, it's very hard to deceive. Amongst all the other trials and tribulations of living in Israel, when you got to put up with the heat on top of it, it's, I'm not myself by the end of the day. I know I'm not myself. I don't want to do Bible studies and work on the stuff for the website because I have a word in Yiddish, famished. I'm not bright, it wears me out. I don't feel sick or dizzy or anything. It just wears me down. I'm not on my game, So anyway, let's do our praise. There is no God like Jehovah. 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 There is no Messiah like Yeshua. There is no Messiah like Yeshua. There is no Messiah like Yeshua. There's 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 no Messiah like Yeshua. Okay. Let me jump into our live stream and make sure everything is functional. Yeah, it appears to be video and audio. A little bit of housekeeping here. Yeah, I'll skip it. It doesn't seem to make difference. Okay. Well, I should put. Let's just skip it. Okay. In the description box under the video, I have offering information with working links for Patreon and GoFundMe. And at the bottom of the description box, I got my email address, which is IsraelGiving with the number 7 at gmail.com. Now, some of you may want to get a better foundation in the true gospel, not the teachings of the churches and the commentaries and the study Bibles and all that mishigas. So here's my website, and if you look at the very top, you'll see the URL, MosheHakom.com. MosheHakom.com. You could go back and pause it, and it's got 300 or 400 pages of Bible studies, of course broken down into little studies, and we put the text from the Bible up there in King James. And you can go through it and, take your time and study it and, go at your own pace. And they're pretty important Bible studies, like I cover New Jerusalem and Millennium, I cover the work Yeshua did, I cover the two witnesses, I cover the great day of the Lord, Jacob's trouble, all these really big important things. Is the Lord dead? There must be, 20 or so studies up there. Now, I'll keep adding, and I'm trying to set up this video hosting. I got to get the webmaster to do it, and he's busy. And I want to get the video hosting, and then I can make Bible study videos and just put them on the web hosting. But it's got to be unlimited bandwidth, otherwise the enemies will just go there. The people that don't like the work I'm doing will just go there and download incessantly, use up my bandwidth, and cost me, either I have to shut it down, or I could have to spend $3,000 or $4,000 a month on extra bandwidth. It's ridiculous. So we found a source that has unlimited bandwidth, so we just got to get it opened up there. Shouldn't be a big deal. So what we got here now is Israel is making noises about BRICS, BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And the noises are subtle right now, but Netanyahu went to China to set up a meeting which will go down in August. Now, Netanyahu is a very mean, vindictive individual, a narcissistic sociopath, and I would say a relatively stupid person as well, although that's disguised well. And for some reason, this nincompoop has managed to learn how to manipulate the political system in Israel, so this thing can't be that stupid. There's a reason why I call it a thing, and many of you know why. It's not a shapeshifter. You know what I mean. Okay. Not an alien or shapeshifter. Just a terrible excuse for a person. And all the world leaders are pretty much this way. So, America is down on the expansion of the West Bank. Now, Smotrich, one of the coalition guys at the right wing, has decided that he wants to initially add 250,000 settlers into the West Bank, as the media calls Samaria and Judea. And of course, they need housing, roads, infrastructure. What's infrastructure? Well, you need good roads. The roads have to be safe roads, so the Palestinians can't throw rocks at us and shoot at us, and this kind of thing. So that's a little bit of a challenge. How do you do that, right? They know. Then there'd be better bus routes, although there are bus routes now. They use armored buses, so they'll have to, up that, but there'll be more car use. And when he says he wants to up this to 1 million from 750,000 Jews, I think he's not counting Mei Adumim, East Jerusalem, which has probably 250,000 people living in it. You can get from East Jerusalem to main Jerusalem in, I don't know, 20 minutes by bus, 15 minutes. It's not a big deal. By car, probably if there was no traffic, like 3 o'clock in the morning, 5 or 6 or 7 minutes or something like that. So he might actually be thinking of bringing 500,000 people into the West Bank. But the number he used a while ago was 250,000, so I'll go with that, I think. That's a lot. Now, 250,000 houses in the West Bank will knock down housing prices in Israel. But there's not going to be 250,000 Israelis that are going to move to the West Bank. But on the other hand, now that the housing prices are so insane and ridiculous, there might be a lot that would move, but I don't know if he would achieve his goal. So what he wants to do instead, I disagree with, but what he wants to do is build housing for these people to move to the West Bank, but these people are Jews living outside Israel that are not citizens, never lived here. And he wants to move them into Israel, giving them financial support, and moving them into whole communities. Now, normally, when you're going to try to move a whole community of Jews from outside of Israel into Israel, the only way this is going to work is with Orthodox and ultra-Orthodox. Basically just ultra-Orthodox. Because they're the ones that are not really integrated into society in, various countries. Now, what countries are you talking about? Well, I don't think Smotrich cares. He'll take them wherever they are. But my thoughts would be Australia, US, Canada, England, France, Germany, maybe Italy, but I don't think you're going to find them in Italy. And I don't think you're going to find many ultra-Orthodox in Germany either. So they would take them from these places and build a community and try to bring 3, 4, 5,000 over, boom. So the apartment houses they typically would build would probably be like 15 to 20-story buildings. They'd have a balcony that would be a sukkah balcony. So you'd have beams on the top of the balcony. You could put leaves and things there enabling you to see the stars at night. And you could sleep out there. Yet you can still walk inside and cook and go to the bathroom and change clothes. And they try to spend much of their time out on the balcony as they can. Now, if you're dealing with somebody with 4 children and a couple, I don't know how they're going to fit on these balconies unless they decide they're going to build them 25 by 12 or something like that, which I've never seen yet, except in very wealthy buildings. So they're probably going to make them in 2 and 4 bedroom configurations, maybe 2 and 3. Israelis have no trouble getting bunk beds and stacking the kids up in the same bedroom. It's easy for them. So a 3-bedroom could hold a lot of children. They may not build 4 bedrooms. They used to. The older buildings. I had one many years ago. It was nice. It had tons of room. You had all kinds of storage. You had no issues there. Yeah, 1, 2, what everything. It's been a long time back then. I might have been a 3-bedroom I had so many years ago, 30-something years ago. Might have been, but I remember measuring it. It was about 1,600 square feet, which is a pretty good sized bedroom, apartment. It didn't have a real balcony. It had a clothing room which is like an exposed room, so you can have your clothes dry inside online, that sort of thing. And you keep some storage in there, and basically your washer and your dryer. We didn't have a dryer, we just had a washer. And then you have a kitchen area and a living room area, and then you had a sliding glass walls that would open up, and that was sort of like your balcony, and then it had a place to sit right in front of it, and it had some kind of handrails, like to keep people from falling out, that were about waist high or something. So you couldn't walk out on it, but you could get all the fresh air. It had a half bathroom and a whole bathroom and big hallways, and that was it. The living room was pretty good size, with the dining room flowing into it that was big, and the master bedroom was big, and the other rooms weren't so great, like this room I'm in now. Not so good. So anyway, they'd be apartments. They probably would not have a garage. They would probably have outside parking. You'd get assigned a parking stall by number. The buildings would be noisy, and the Israelis are used to that. American or Canadian may have trouble with that. They may not like it. I don't know what they would they sell them to people or rent them? I worked this out once. I think they would sell them for about $90,000, which is a similar apartment in a cheaper development in Israel would cost you about 2 million shekels or more. It costs 4 or 5 million, but it would cost you, I would say, 2 million shekels, pretty typically for something like this. And that would be a reasonable price. 2 million shekels divided by, let's go, 3.6. That's $555,000 compared to about 91,000. So that would be cheaper housing. Now, why doesn't Smotrich just move the Israelis out there? They won't do it. They won't go to the West Bank. The West Bank people are predominantly Zionists. So they're not ultra-Orthodox that much. Some live in Hebron that are ultra-Orthodox. Typically they're not. Okay, what they're typically going to do is they're going to wear a knitted kippah, which shows they're Zionists, but they're observant. They know where it sits. And they're not going to dress, they'll wear blue jeans, they'll wear, t-shirts. They're not going to dress like the ultra-Orthodox or anything. They don't have any particular dress code. They just wear what's comfortable. They're not going to, the men probably aren't going to wear short pants and, that kind of thing. The women will dress modestly. They're not going to be shaving their heads and wearing wigs and this sort of thing. They'll use the mikvah for the cleansing after the woman's monthly cycle. They'll have those. They're going to be observant. Talmudic observant is the problem. And that's mostly who moves that. Probably 80-90% of who moves there is that genre. That's the reality of it. Now, a lot of them come from America and just move right over there like So he could probably get his $250,000 by working internationally. And what they got to do more than just smack up apartments, okay, and roads. So he wants to bring the railroad system into the West Bank, which it is not now there. And people could take the train to the big population centers, which are, typically Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. There's plenty of work in Jerusalem. So they take the, now that's if you're under 50. If you're over 50 in Israel, they don't like hiring you. Why? Israel has socialist labor laws, you would say. So once they hire you, and you pass about a year with them or so, they really can't fire you. It's problematic for them, seriously problematic. And if they try a firing and you file a hearing with the labor, government, Department of Labor, it might take you, 4, 6, 7 months to get the hearing. And you're probably going to win. And they're going to give you back pay for the whole time. So you got a 6 month or so paid vacation. Could be a year until it gets hurt. And then they're going to be ordered to reinstate you, to hire you back. So by the time you get to be 65, and they hire you at 50 and you're 65, you're still there. They can't get rid of you. You're never going to be able to work the same, or most people wouldn't be able to work the same as they did when they were 50. They're not going to be as concerned about it. They're going to be taking it easy, and stuff like that. What about when they're 69? I would say they could probably, after about 68, they might have a provision to get rid of them. They might be able to lay them off. I don't know. I'm not sure. So they don't normally hire you. So it's pretty tough to get work here if you're 50 or more. You'd have to go into business for yourself, and then of course there's no barriers to it. But not everybody can do that. You got to be sharp. Like you can't, me and my wife over the last almost 10 years have been, not quite 10 years, but almost, we've been sitting there thinking about, could we rent a place over here and sell, expensive coffees and this and that. And it might work, but how many would we sell a day? In our little village, maybe we'd wind up selling 100 on a good day, and I don't know what you're going to get for them, $3 maybe, because you're not offering, so you got $300, and you cost the coffee and rent, you'd have to be open, stay open a lot, people aren't going to drink much coffee after about 3 in the afternoon. So you could open at 6 and close at 3. And you might sell some Danish and cupcakes and things like that, some pastries. But our idea was a drive-up window. And it would make some money, but you'd have to buy 2 expensive coffee machines. You couldn't do one because it would broke, And you gotta try to get this stuff out quick, otherwise the people are gonna block your window. So how do you do that? Well, they could order for the window and then you have them drive down to another window if you got enough space for the pickup. And they wait there and then you give it to them, so maybe you could stage 3 cars waiting, like a McDonald's or something like that. That's the best you can come up with, I guess. But I don't know if it was going to work. I mean, I felt it would work, but limited, I remember a restaurant in San Francisco called the Noble Frank. The guy drove around with a Rolls Royce. It was an older Rolls Royce. He opened up about 4, 5, maybe more locations around San Francisco and the neighboring cities. I think a little bit, mostly San Francisco, but maybe exclusively. I think he had one in Berkeley or something like that. And he had about 6 or 7, maybe 8 different kinds of hot dogs. He had he had his own kind of bun, and he toasted it on the grill for you. And then he had the condiments, the mustard, the ketchup, mayonnaise, relish, sauerkraut. He had a few other things, pickles, and not many things, but he had a bunch of stuff. And then he sold sodas. He might have sold coffee and tea. He usually had space to sit down, although a lot of people didn't sit down. They'd buy the hot dog and take it out eating it. Or you could sit down. And he didn't get a fork. You have to go back to the 70s. And I think his hot dogs were $1 and change. They had different prices, and he had, different kinds of beef hot dogs. He had the kielbasa. He had mosaic or unclean meats as well. But you could do it in Israel with just clean meats. But he had hot dogs with pork in them, and that you wouldn't be able to do in Israel. But, he made himself a fortune. People wanted to eat. I don't even think he did French fries, maybe, but I don't remember that at all. It was just simple, Give me a kielbasa, give me a veal hot dog, give me an extra large, he did good with it. So could you do that in Israel? No, they don't use, they think hot dogs is a garbage junk food. So it's like if your kid has 3 or 4 friends come over from school, you don't want to make a meal for them. You would take somebody's hot dogs and heat them up in an oven or heat them up in a microwave or grill, whatever you're going to do, and serve them to the kids. So it's junk food to them. So you can't do that here. Now, chicken wings. Chicken wings is junk food. It's so cheap to buy chicken wings in the supermarket. It's incredibly cheap. And we do it here. We put them in the air fryer sometimes, or with different ways of making them. And we make chicken wings, and you put the sauce on them, and they're great, cheap. But they won't go to just the chicken wings restaurant. There are restaurants that Anglos go to that have chicken wings on the menu, and they're normally pre-cooked and then looped, or they're okay. They're not so great, right? So a guy that's a friend of the guy that does our repairs opened up a food truck in the area, a small food truck, really small. And he rented space in a parking lot for some other shops and, not many, a couple of restaurants there and a gas station, a 7-Eleven. He rented an area out of the way in the corner, and he put some tables and benches there with canopies to keep the sun off. He basically would have, I think, two or three tables. Doesn't have a lot of seating, and you got to climb up on these steps that are precarious, wooden steps to get to his window to order, which is very unusual. Why somebody would want that? I don't think in America they'd let you do it. They'd say it's too unsafe. Because people are standing there and the steps are that wide, and they're loading their hands up with food, and then they got to walk down backwards or turn around on the steps and balance the food. I don't think you could do it in America. What he should do is he should build a concrete ramp, and it could be portable, or he can make a wood ramp that, you know, goes back about 8 or 10 feet or 12 feet. I think would be better, and people just walk up the ramp. But this is Israel, so he sells things like kebab. See, they just eat the same Arab food. Which, is it good? Yeah, it's really good, but it's not that great. He sells schnitzel, which is closest to chicken fried steak. Not exactly. Chicken fried steak tastes better, but it's in the range of that. And other junk food, you know, that Arab food. It's not junk food, it's healthy food, but it's the Arabic genre of food. So, is he doing good? He's not doing great. He's doing okay. So he's creative. So somebody could have went there, and since he's on a major thoroughfare and he gets commuters, he could have opened up with coffee. You know, not, you know, like espresso, mocha, latte, and cappuccino, you know, all that kind of stuff. He could have opened up there with those things and did it that way, but he decided to do the food. Now, he probably, there's probably room to open another food truck over there and do that also. But, yeah, I don't think this doesn't look to me like a guy that wants to, you know, franchise these and make $200,000 a month. It looks like a guy that wants to make enough of a living to be comfortable and have an older car, and that's okay, and not have a great house, and, you know, his wardrobe is basically t-shirts and Levi's and running shoes, you know, that kind of guy. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of people in a lot of countries that's how they live. So, but it's very, very difficult to come up with some kind of a retail idea here, because they're so rigid in their thinking. It's incredibly awful. They just think this way. They don't think out of the box. I don't know how. Somebody introduced them to sushi, I guess 10, 12 years ago, and it took on. There's a lot of them that eat sushi now. And now there's quite a few Chinese, well, the restaurants are Chinese, Japanese, and Thai, they call them fusion. And there's a lot of those around Israel, and they do quite well. I didn't figure that would happen. So if you could figure out a good gimmick with food, what would happen is you would be struggling, and then if it caught on, after a few months, you'd be doing well. And then, like any other country, you'd have knuckleheads that look at what you did and they say, oh, let's copy it. Now, when you copy it, like they did that probably with the first Chinese fusion place to open, then another one opened, you know, so now they're copying. So then it becomes sometimes even more popular, because people start seeing this competition, you know. So it's tough, you know. So this pizza store opened up in our area next to the mini market, the 7-Eleven, and they're selling pizzas, and he's making a living at it. He's doing all right. They're not the greatest pizzas. They're not like the other guy, but they're okay. So he's making a living, you know. I think he's selling slices, and the kids, a lot of kids here in this village, and the parents just let them run amok, and a lot of them work at the hospital. There's a massive hospital here. It's a it's a campus with multiple buildings. It's huge. So there's a lot of people that make good livings. They're radiologists, they're lab techs, they're pharmacists, they're nurses, they're different technicians, they're doctors, they're administrators, computer that work in the information technology there, they laboratory and many things. So they make a very good living. So they live in this village because they could get to work in 5 minutes. They have a high disposable income, and they turn their kids loose to just run around the neighborhoods. They don't want the kids in the house. They're too noisy when they come home. So they give the kid money, and the kids go to the store over there, which is, what do they got? There's a bakery. There's not much excitement for kids in the bakery. There's the mini market, which has all kinds of ice cream and ices and candy. That's of great interest to the kids. And the pizza, they buy a slice or something like that. So they ride their bikes over there. The bigger kids get 4x4s. The mothers and fathers buy them because legally they can ride them around here. The way this community is structured, they can do it. And they ride around at excessive rates of speed. They don't normally have driver's licenses. And they drive the dogs crazy when they go by, and they're annoying. That's how the rich kids the rich people here treat their kids. Just throw them out of the house, let them do what they want. The idea would be to spend time with the kids as a family unit, not to just throw them out in the street. So Netanyahu and BRICS. So he's going next month, August, to see China. And I'm sure the subject is BRICS. Why? Because we're hearing we're hearing commentary all of a sudden from people that are elected officials in the government, members of the Knesset, the Parliament. Oh, BRICS would be good for Israel. Just started seeing that yesterday and today. Yesterday. So they're building the alibi for Netanyahu. Now, what would that do for Israel? Well, if Israel breaks from America, it's a yoke coming off on that. Netanyahu, nobody else, is going to go leave America, hook in with BRICS, and have BRICS dictate to them. They're not going to want that. They're not going to want that. So, if BRICS opens up to, they're talking about expanding from 5 countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, to about 40. If they do that, a lot of these countries are poor countries and stuff like that, and they're underdeveloped, then now Israel will be able to sell anybody in BRICS weapons, where America sort of controls who Israel sells weapons to. America dictates to Israel. It's the great voice. Okay? It's the hammer of the whole earth. And they've been hammering China and Russia pretty hard. So China and Russia are also building a fiber optic cable system to do wire transfers, to enable their new money, which is supposed to be a gold-backed trading currency. So it's not money that you're going to put in your wallet. They're not going to issue gold certificates or, 1 ounce gold round coins or anything like But I think you need a certain amount of gold reserves to use BRICS currency, because if it's gold back, you've got to pledge gold. Now, are they going to let little African countries and other South American countries just sit there and on the honor system say how much gold they have? Well, if they do, BRICS will fail. The only ones I think that are going to be able to fudge it and nobody's going to challenge is Russia and China. They're going to be able to issue whatever amount of currency they want, even if they don't have the gold, because they can lie. And do you think China and Russia would lie? Well, it's certainly a possibility. Who's going to be monitoring their gold reserves? So I think that they're going to probably tell these countries, you've got to deposit the gold in China or Moscow in Russia. I don't see what else it would be. Would Israel do that? I doubt it. I don't know. I don't know if Israel would do that. But they're not going to let Israel run around trading trillions or billions of dollars, and then we get into a war and somebody swipes our gold, and then the debt's worthless. So they'll have an argument they could play with. So it could be a good thing for Israel, because they could sell weapons to all these countries and many other things, medical stuff and so forth. Now, if Israel breaks from America, some of the things that I believe you'll see Israel do is build fighter jets. They'll have to build a few fighter jets and set them as prototypes and test them. And then they'll have to have action in war, which is easy for Israel. They go into Syria, Gaza, you know, that'll do it, I believe. And they can make a fortune. An F-35 sell for over $100 million. Israel could make a better plane than the F-35 and probably make a tremendous profit selling it at $35,000. Probably make 15 or 20 million a plane, and they could probably sell 1,000 or 500 at that price, probably 1,000 planes a year easy. So they could probably employ 20, 30,000 people or more. Then there's all our medical equipment. We don't have to waste our time with FDA approval and garbage like that. So our medical equipment could be sold to all these countries. Israel already makes tanks. We actually make small boats, 250, 300 or so, maybe 350-foot boats like corvettes, destroyers, cruisers. We don't make submarines. I don't think we would even do that. The market is small. I don't think they'll do that. Drones, plentiful. We sell rifles and stuff, but that's chicken feed. Pistols, rifles, ammunition's chicken feed. It's the big stuff, you know. Counterintelligence equipment, positive intelligence collecting equipment, eavesdropping. Hacking. The governments. And we sell a certain amount of food and stuff too. What we don't sell, that I don't think would sell at this point, would be electrical appliances, computers no, smartphones no, furniture no, clothing no, jewelry, a little of that goes on with the diamonds and custom jewelry, but I don't think that would be an export, no. America would not want Israel selling stealth jets because our stealth jets would probably be effective against America's stealth jets. And if we had a stealth jet that effective, we could probably sell it for, easily get $60, $70 million a jet. Some countries might just buy 5 or 10. Just so they could have it. So many things could happen like that. And they have a built-in market. BRICS, who will pay them in gold back. Trading currency, they don't have to worry about America's fluctuating dollar. Is it good for Israel to join BRICS? I would say it is in a lot of ways. Netanyahu is snubbing Biden. Biden is inviting Herzog, the president, who is against judicial reform. He's inviting Herzog to the White House. It's already happened. He invited him. And he's not inviting Netanyahu. So Netanyahu doesn't want to run around and say, I'm restoring relations with America. He's getting snubbed by Biden. So it makes him look bad. It hurts him politically. It's a problem. It really is. So what's he doing? Well, he's trying to get away from Biden and go to China. It's a weird one. He's going to China to get into BRICS. And he also walked softly with Russia. He gave 200 tanks to Ukraine, which irritated Russia, but he probably told Russia, I got no choice. And Russia believed him. Now, they may not take Israel in BRICS, but I have a feeling they could. The propaganda value would be massive for BRICS. Good, in a good way for them. So we got to see what happens. Netanyahu's probably not going to say, I'm going to China to get into BRICS, because if it doesn't work out, he looks like he's got egg on his face. So he's just going to say, well, we'll just go to China. And then he'll probably have to go to Moscow after that. And if I'm right, and BRICS is going to, down the road a piece, build something like NATO for the BRICS members. In other words, they're going to do an all for one and one for all. Then that could be, listen hard, that could be the force that destroys the daughter of Babylon in Jeremiah 50:51. It comes out of nowhere. Let's read. Let me take a quick peek at the chat, and then we'll read Isaiah 47 and see if we get some sort of a roundabout fit here. Now, the pets are in with me in the air conditioning. It's too hot outside. They're all in the house. The birds aren't, but there's other provisions we made for them with fans and water sprinkling and things like this. Can they have military outposts built to keep them safe with new community? Yeah, they have that set up now. It would be more military out there, and the communities themselves put up, well, the apartment houses wouldn't have much. They would hire private security guards, which would be ex-military special forces that get well paid, and they would patrol around this community, which would consist of what? It would have maybe 6 to 12 apartment buildings, and there would be some strip mall that would have a gas station, like a 7-Eleven with a gas station. There'd be probably a modest, maybe 2 or 3 little mini market stores that you'd be surprised what you can get in these mini markets. Okay, I've seen some. They have a freezer area. We'll have 3 or 4 or 5 freezers full of different meats. A chicken, a beef, turkey, miscellaneous, right? Then they'll have frozen food, they'll have pizzas and other things, other kinds of frozen dishes. A lot of fresh vegetables, a lot of fresh fruit. And, paper towels, toilet paper, cleaning products, fresh bread, fresh pastries. It's easy to sell liquor. You just sell liquor. They'll sell liquor and beer and wine. And they'll have a large assortment of candy for the kids. And that's, they'll have coffee, they'll have tea, they'll have soda. Stuff like that. Okay. And then what else will open up is going to depend. You may have little cheap restaurants like Pizza Guy open up. You might have more of a cafe, but I don't think so. You might, I don't know. But you'll have most of your, the basic needs. People will probably still prefer once a week to go to the big supermarkets. They'll have little fill-in stuff. And they'll have, what else would you get? They have to set up some medical over there. So the Kupon Holims, there's 3 socialized medical healthcare systems. By law, you have to join one and pay. Being retired, I don't have to pay much, about $350 a year for me and my wife together. And that's not a lot of money considering, but we don't use it because we're afraid of it. Then they would set up at least one of those. Maybe all 3 won't go there, so then people will have to shift their health plan to join the one that's over there. You're not going to see car dealers and stuff open up so quick. Cell phone places that sell cell phone service and the phones will open up. But, it depends. You got, 3/4 of what you got about in the literal half West Bank leaving out Galilee, East Jerusalem. You've got 500,000 people that are Israelis. So there's got to be a lot of stores there now. They've got to be big supermarkets and things like that. So it'll just get better. Okay. The trains in Israel are not like the trains in China and Japan. They don't go fast. They go, I'd say, 60 to 80 miles an hour. When they're running hard, full out. They don't go fast. But you're not going far. We're not going from one city to another that's 280 miles away. That'd be pretty unusual in Israel. It could happen, but you'd probably be talking about, going from Nahariya to Eilat or something like that. The trains don't have to be that fast. And will they put light rail in? Nah, I don't think so. That would be way later if they ever did it. The light rail is basically electric streetcar on ground level on a track. What else? I don't know. They might have an appliance store. You know, you got a community with, let's say, 12 apartment buildings here, and then, you know, a mile and a half away, you could have another 12 apartment buildings, or even a half a mile away, and then, you know, so you could have a really large, so you could have like one here, and one here. So you basically have one community at 9 o'clock, one at 3 o'clock, and one at 12 o'clock. And in the middle of it, you can put a very large shopping center that has, you know, 40 stores or something like that. So there's all kinds of stuff that could happen, okay? And it would make things more palatable, you know. But remember, these are religious, observant people almost exclusively that are going to live there. So there's some things they'll want, some things that aren't going to work. A movie theater would not work. They're also going to have to build synagogues, and they're also going to have to build mikvahs, the ritual bath for the women. And they'll probably hire private security guards to watch the cars in the parking area so they don't get vandalized and broken and burned and stolen. And they'll be armed, and they'll watch the parking, and they'll make sure nobody comes around to wait in the building and stab somebody in the elevator. They might, yeah, they you know, if you have a complex of 10 or 12 apartment buildings, you're probably going to have to get on a shift at least 5 or 6 guys riding around on little 200cc motorcycles or in a car or walking, and you're going to have to watch very, very, very carefully each shift. Now the daytime shift would be maybe less, maybe half as many, but the nighttime shift would have to be pretty serious. So they know how to do it, you know. They could make it gated, just basically put chain link fence around it with a come in and out gate and a security guard at the gate. So they could do that too. Just make a fence that's not 6 feet, maybe go 12 feet or 16 feet, and they could put sensors on it, know if somebody's climbing it or something. They know how to do that. Also, if you live in the West Bank, you can fairly automatically get a gun license. So a large amount of people there will have guns. So it's pretty suicidal for the Arabs to come around there. Seriously, suicidal. The security guards that are ex-military special forces typically will shoot at them effectively. And there's also, they organize, like, I don't know what you would call it in English, like Operation Watch or something, where people in the community will volunteer to go on patrol a certain amount of hours a month with their weapons. So they'll be safe. And there'll be military in there. I think we're getting on top of the pestilence, the flea tick problem. I think most of the ticks on the dogs. Thank you for the prayers, but please keep praying for Chief and Yafa to not get sick or ill or run down from these bugs that were on them. And we double washed them with stuff, getting the bugs to let go. And we got medicine from the vet that you put in there, and it's supposed to make these bugs die and let go and all that. So, do I think it's working? Yes. Is it the prayer or the medicine? I don't know. Probably both. Probably both. Okay. So, again, this is a scenario that could happen. Remember, things happen suddenly. Daughter of Babylon gets it suddenly. It gets hit with an iron fist with pointed brass knuckles on it. Suddenly. Okay? Suddenly. Remember that. Okay? Now we're going to, with the back of our mind, Iran, guys must be praying for me because I'm starting to come out of it. I'm feeling more myself and more energy. But please keep the prayers coming that I feel like my old self again. I slept plenty. I probably just left the patches on too long, which I know I did. I came in from being outside last night. It was cool, so I take the animals out, have the whole tribe out there. Not cool, it was cooler, so they get their exercise, they run around, they bark, it's less boring than being in the house. And it was mostly in the 80s, maybe the high 70s at the end when we came in, so it's not that hot, And I was sitting out there with my iPad, and I came in around, when did I come in? A little after 10, and I brought them in, and the big ones came in before. Rivka took them in earlier, and then I took the little guys and I gave them some sandwich meat, which is human sandwich meat. So I wanted to build, I do that at night before they go to bed, it makes them feel better and all that, and I gave them a little extra last night to give them strength and stamina. Meat really goes a long way with the dog, by the way, and this is human meat. But I find it's cheaper to feed them for treats. Sandwich meat, you get a pretty good package. One side is salami with a lot of fat, which is good for them. They thrive on fat, the animals. It's great for them. And the other side is chicken. Do they like the chicken more than the beef salami? Or it might be turkey and beef salami. I don't know. They love it both. They gobble it down. They go crazy. When I sit down, I got to rip them off in little pieces. A big dog, you can just flip a disc of salami and But these guys, you got to break it in pieces. So when I sit down in this chair at night to give it to them, of course they smell it. Little dogs smell the same as big dogs. They have the same sense of smell. And hearing too, just because they're small doesn't mean they hear just as good as a big collie or German Shepherd or something, because they do. So they smell that, and Chief starts to cry. He wants it so bad. He goes, and then barks. He can't wait to get it. And we're talking about the time it takes for me to sit down in the chair, pick it up off the desk, and start making pieces. He can't wait. He starts crying. He wants it so bad. And the other one the Yafa just starts barking, climbing up my leg. I got scratch marks on my legs from the claws. She is not trying to hurt me. She wants to, one time I sat down on the chair and I was holding a piece of meat hanging off the side of the chair while I was bracing myself to sit down. And that little rat ripped the whole piece out of my hand and gobbled it down. Like a shark or something, But they just lose it over that meat. They love it so much. The big ones do too. It's just, the dog treats, we used to buy the, it looked like it was plastic or polyester or something. I don't know what was in it. They loved it, but the pet food companies have laboratories and they develop stuff that fools the dog. How do you fool the dog? With their schnozola, with their nose. That's how you fool them. So I don't think that stuff's very good, and it's expensive. So this a big sandwich meat pack, I'll tell you what it cost, because I know what I spent on that. I'll break it into dollars. It costs about $7 for a big thing of it. I mean, it's a stack of salami and a stack of chicken like this big, That lasts quite a while. But when I buy the treats, they're not cheap. They cost a lot of money too. But it's junk. I'm giving them junk. What do I? Rather give them real meat. So their fur is really soft, and they do good. I mean, I also give them regular dog food. We give them very high-grade dog food without the corn and the grain in it. We give them real good dog food, but for dog food. Okay, so I just want to remind you that this happened with Iran 2 weeks ago, maybe. Iran is acting like pirates in the Persian Gulf, boarding ships carrying whatever. Could be containers, grain, oil, natural gas, weapons, who knows what. They attack the ship with their navy. They don't usually shoot at it, although they have done that once. They demand that they want to board the ship. And so they send a few boats out that can, shoot missiles, torpedoes, has mounted 50 caliber guns. These merchant marine vessels are unarmed. They don't want to engage 3 or 4 Iranian Navy boats that are armed. They'll get sunk, they'll get killed or whatever, they'll get boarded. So they submit to the boarding, and a lot of times the boat goes back to Iran and they get taken off the boat. They could be returned, they could be driven to an airport, they could be put in prison, they could be put in ICE detention, they could be ransomed. And what do they do with the boat, with the load? Well, it depends what it is. They do what they want with it. Could they keep the boat? Yeah. Could they keep the load on the boat? Yeah, they could do what they want. Who's going to stop them? So America went around there. They brought up like destroyers and cruisers in there, and there's also, I believe, nuclear American submarines floating around in the Persian Gulf. And they stopped Iran from pirating or hijacking boats. So the problem was Iran, get that down. Iran goes around and raises a special naval force under them, with them at the head, from Bahrain, Qatar, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, India, and maybe one other country. I think it's a total of 9, counting Iran. India joined. India. What has India got to do with the Persian Gulf? What has Pakistan got to do with the Persian Gulf? But they joined. And they, I'm sure, have to contribute at least one Navy ship to this task force. If they contribute one ship, you've got 8, plus Iran is going to throw a few in there. So you probably got about 10 ships. That's pretty potent flotilla. America can't deal with 10 ships just by sending 2 ships over there. They'd probably have to send 5 or 6. But is America going to take out Pakistani ships? Saudi ships, UAE ships, Bahrain, Qatar, and India. I mean, no. So let's learn from this. BRICS is a financial model, but people in BRICS are mad about the daughter of Babylon dictating to them, telling them who can buy what weapons, telling them this, telling them that. Turkey's talking about going into BRICS. So the United States is going to fight back against this BRICS with the gold-backed trading currency. How can you fight back against it? Fluctuate the price of gold on the open market with your dollars. What does that mean? Well, let's look up the price of gold. I haven't done the price of gold in months. It usually hovers between $1,600 and $1,800 an ounce, but we can easily check it. We call it spot price. If you hear the snoring, it's Chief snoring. He's probably very happy in here because it's not hot and I'm blowing with the fan in the doorway, which is causing that white noise. I'm blowing the cold air in from the other room. Oh, gold is on the high side, 1934. Huh. Alright, let's look at silver. It's interesting. That's getting pretty much up there. It has broken it has broken 2000 before, but they hate that. They try to drag it down. Spot price silver. Okay, let's see what we got. Per ounce, it's pretty much where it has been, $24.94, like $25 an ounce. It's been hovering around there. Maybe it's 23, 25. Okay, let's look at the currencies. Haven't done that in a while either. Go to xe.com. That's the place I use. And let's take a look at the dollar versus the shekel. That'll be interesting. It's right where it always been, 3.6. It went to 3.7 for a day or two. It's down again to 3.6. Okay, let's run the dollar against the euro. The euro's a little high, not very. 1 euro buys $1.12. Not very high, but a little high. $1.08 would be more likely. Let's run the dollar against the British pound. And that's very high. It's $1.31 basically. That's high. And it has been like that. This is very high though. So the dollar is showing some signs of weakening. What's running against the dollar Canadian? Or the Canadian dollar. Well, it's at 75 cents. It's a little bit high. It's usually about 66, it's 75, but it's been high. It's a little on the high side. So the dollar is weak, which means the Israeli shekel is weak because it's lined up with the dollar. The Aussie dollar, that didn't take, Okay, let's reset. The Australian dollar is right about where it should be, 2/3, 68 cents. It's up from 66 to 68. So let's take a look at the Schweiz. Schweiz is the Hebrew for Swiss. Schweiz. I'm not saying it too good. Schweiz. Schweiz. Let's take a look at the CHF, the Swiss. And it's high. The Swiss franc buys $1.15. Usually it's about $1.01, $1.02. So the American dollar is down. That's what that tells me. Okay. And it's going to take time. America will get it back up. So let's look at Isaiah. Okay, so we covered what Iran did with raising this little naval NATO thing to patrol the Persian Gulf. It's I don't know if the ships have arrived from the 8 other members yet, but they'll shortly be there, and they'll be patrolling the Persian Gulf, and they're going to be harassing the Americans. They don't want to have America come over there and tell them what to do. They want to pick on whoever they want to pick on, which means they intend to curtail any kind of commercial traffic at some point in time to pressure Israel. Well, I mean, they want to put not so much Israel, they want to have the ships there to pressure America. They want to pick on whoever they want to pick on. It's not so much Israel, because Israel doesn't really do anything in the Persian Gulf. So they bothered Israeli flag vessels or vessels that were owned by Israeli companies and individuals that they have harassed them in the past year or so. So America's going to be floating around there, and they're going to say, get out of here. Is America going to open a fire on them? No. Are they going to open a fire on America? I hope not. I don't know. Okay, so that's the future of what Iran's doing. Now comes BRICS. So how does Russia and China save themselves? They form a BRICS NATO type organization. America will be retaliating against BRICS. Especially this gold-backed trading currency. They will retaliate. And one of the ways they can retaliate is by dropping the price of gold. So it's 19 and change, $1,936 or something now. So they could, over a period of 2 weeks, run it down to $1,750. And now all the gold reserves are screwed up in BRICS. America will go after BRICS. Russia, China, Iran will tell, and Brazil will tell, and Pakistan and other countries will tell the BRICS countries that they have to form a NATO, all for one and one for all, to combat America, to stop America's retaliation. America may try to run the gold prices down to $1,200 or $1,400. Which means these people aren't going to be able to trade the way they used to, and they're going to all start calling the debts back, and they can mess it up. They could also run it up to 2,500. I don't think America will do that. I think America wants just to run it down. And the only way they're going to be able to stop themselves from having trouble, and they're going to have trouble with this new naval NATO of Iran's telling America to get lost, it's not going to work. So they're going to have trouble. Now let's take a look at the countries that want to join NATO, BRICS. I don't know if we could find a list of all of them, but it looks like, I was told Israel already did apply, but I don't know. This I don't know. Let's take a look. Well, some article here that says 30 countries. It's more than that, but let's see if they actually name them. The countries ready to join BRICS alliance are Afghanistan. Okay, they hate America. It's Taliban, right? Will they pledge fighters to a BRICS NATO type organization? You bet they will. Next. Algeria, will they pledge fighters? You bet. Argentina, reluctantly they will. Bahrain, yeah, but reluctantly. Bangladesh, I don't know what they got. Belarus, yeah, they'll pledge fighters. Egypt will. Indonesia, Iran, all will. Kazakhstan, yep. Mexico. So what are they going to do? Have the Sinaloa cartel join? I don't know. They'll pledge troops. They're going to have to. Nicaragua? Oh yeah. Nigeria? Oh yeah. Pakistan? Yeah. These are all warmongering countries. Saudi? Yeah. Senegal? I don't know. Sudan? Yeah. Syria? Yeah. United Arab Emirates? Yeah. Thailand? I guess so. Tunisia, yeah. Turkey, oh yeah. Uruguay, reluctantly, I guess so. Venezuela, gung-ho. Zimbabwe, yeah. So a lot of these countries will be very happy to do this, and they'll do an all for one, one for all. Does this save Russia? Yeah. Because now what does NATO do? They got 30 countries plus, they got 35, 40 countries in NATO. And, if they each contribute just 5,000 soldiers, you got 200,000 soldiers plus armor and aircraft and helicopters and artillery and all that. But they're going to have more. They'll probably get to 300,000-400,000. And remember, Iran could dump 50,000 in. China could dump 200,000, and Russia could dump 100,000. So they could bring their form of NATO easily to 500,000. Now the deterrent value against NATO is massive. You think those Europeans are going to want to mess with something with 500,000 soldiers like this? They won't. They won't. And this moron Netanyahu will join them, I think, if they let him in. I'm pretty sure they're not going to let him in. A lot of those Muslim countries, Algeria, Tunisia, Saudi, UAE, Bahrain, Qatar, Sudan, they're not going to want Israel anymore. Because they have to defend Israel if Israel gets attacked. How are they going to do it? The people in BRICS are the ones that would want to attack Israel. I don't, how are you going to do it? You can't. I don't think they'll let Israel in. But that doesn't mean they're not going to form their own little NATO. I think they are. I think that's... Many things were behind this that's of importance to China, Russia, and them. One is a better currency than America, so the gold-backed trading currency plays very well. Next is the alternative to the SWIFT system, so they can conduct financial transactions amongst themselves without any monitoring by the Americans or scrutiny or punishment because they don't like it or something like that. All right? That's the secondary consideration. And then they've got freedom again. They can start banks and run anonymous bank accounts and just do the transactions through their own wire processing service that they're in the that's built. This is a real surprising way that America could go down. Now, Isaiah 47. And let's see if we got a match here. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground, there is no throne. Could this be mourning? Maybe, but it doesn't sound exactly like that. There is no throne is not a sign of mourning. It means they're busted up economically, militaristically, and so forth. O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt know... The Chaldeans were witches, basically, and that's applied to America. For thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. See, it's more like financial ruin. This BRICS thing could be pushing that along too, couldn't it? Oh yeah. Take the millstones and grind meal, uncover thy locks, make bare the leg, uncover the thigh, pass over the rivers. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance and will not meet thee as a man. So the Lord is going to embarrass them, reveal their nakedness, embarrass, show them for what they really do. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered. Of a lot of people in America, if their nakedness is uncovered, people are not going to be pleased at what they see. As for our Redeemer, Jehovah of armies, is his name, the Holy One of Israel. Sit thou silent, and get thee into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans. For thou shalt no more be called the Lady of Kingdoms. I was wroth with my people, that's Israel. I have polluted mine inheritance and given them into thy hand. Now, today in America, there's 6.5 million known members of Judah, and we don't know how many lost tribes are there. Thou didst show them no mercy. Now, if we go back to the American Indians, North American Indians being some of the lost tribes, not all of them, and the way they had the Indian Wars, massacring them and killing them in the Trail of Tears, well, you've got a match here. Thou didst show them no mercy. Upon the ancient thou very heavily laid thy yoke, forced them to live on terrible reservations, for instance. And thou saidst, I shall be now I'm in Isaiah 47:7, and thou saidst, I shall be a lady forever. See, they don't ever think they're going to go out of power in America. So that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart, neither didst remember the latter end of it. Therefore hear now this, thou that art given to pleasures, that sounds like America, that dwellest carelessly, sounds like America, that saith in thy heart, I am and none else beside me, I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. Wait a minute. This thing moved on me. Now I'm in verse 9 of Isaiah 47. But these two things shall come upon thee in a moment, in one day. There it is. It's in one day, in a moment. The loss of children, that's the citizens of the daughter of Babylon, the people that live there, and widowhood, married to the land, no more married to the land. They're going to be off the land. They shall come upon thee in their perfection, for the multitude of thy sorceries, and for the great abundance of thine enchantments. That's how they run America. You know, the motion picture industry's on strike, the writers and some others, so they're not going to be able to make television. It's a union, Screen Actors Guild. They're not going to be able to make TV shows or movies as long as the strike goes on. Let's see how long the strike goes on. For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness, so the widowhood, and it will come upon thee in their perfection, is really going to come upon them. For the multitude of thy sorceries and the great abundance of thine enchantments. It's all in witchcraft that they do. For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness, thou hast said, none seeth me. See, they don't think that the Lord sees it and it's all written down in the book. They're deceived by you know who, the big S. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge, it hath perverted thee. Thou hast said in thy heart, I am and none else beside me. That's America, the great voice, the hammer of the whole earth. Therefore, look, it's tangling with China and North Korea and Iran and Russia all at the same time. Therefore shall, and Belarus you could say, therefore shall evil come upon thee, thou shalt not know from whence it riseth. So, If they do not know, let's look at the word for not. It means low, which means no, or negative. And the word for no means no. Yeah. From whence it rises. They're not going to know where it's coming from. It rises is a word that more or less means like a dawn, where it's rising like the sun. It's where it's coming from. Okay? And mischief, trouble, shall fall upon thee. Thou shalt not be able to put it off. See, all this bad stuff is just going to keep happening to them. It shall come upon thee suddenly, which thou hast not, which thou shalt not know. It comes suddenly, that's the theme here. Stand now with thy enchantments, and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy daily wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. It started out that way. George Washington was a Mason. That's where that comes from. Thou hast labored, one of the reasons. Thou hast labored from thy youth. If so be thou shalt be able to profit, if so be thou mayest prevail. God's mocking it. Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now the astrologers, the stargazers, the monthly procrastinators stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee. They can't. They won't even be able to see it coming. Behold, they shall be as okay, now we're in verse 14. Behold, they shall be as stubble, the fire shall burn them. And that's consistent with Jeremiah 50:51, where the fires are breaking out all over the place and burning them. They shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. There shall not be a coal to warm at, nor fire to sit before it. Thus shall they be unto thee with whom thou hast labored, even thy merchants from thy youth. They shall wander every one to his border, none shall save thee. They'll go back to the country that they came from, these refugees, and just return for fear of the sword. That's in Jeremiah 50:51. So yeah, I think this could very likely be this BRICS thing. It may not happen this biblical year either. But I'm thinking that the two witnesses will start working openly this biblical year. I can't guarantee it. I'm thinking, I have a hunch that would be the case. So this BRICS thing is big. I don't think Israel's getting any BRICS. They can try, and that's going to irritate Biden, and Netanyahu's going to try to keep it concealed because he knows he's got to have at least a 60-70% chance of getting turned down. There's a lot of countries there that wouldn't want to be defending Israel. I don't think God would let them let Israel join BRICS. I don't think it's going to happen. I just don't think it. Okay, thanks for the prayers, and please pray for me, Moshe, and my wife Rivka for our peace, safety, protection, and joy. Pray for the healing of our bodies. Pray for our finances and our animals and pets that are all rescues, and pray for the peace of Jerusalem, and pray for better videos, and please pray for the health of Chief and Yaffa, that this pestilence doesn't drag them down and they recover from it pretty good, and I think it's working. I appreciate the prayers. And what else do I got? What else? This Screen Actors Guild strike is, to me, amusing. It's summertime, so I think many of the TV shows are not run in the summer, but now they got some that they start in the summer too. They run in the summer. So maybe it's not that critical. They can let it go, I'm sure, a week or two without any problems and negotiate with them. But it's kind of humorous. The stars make, $5 million, $20 million, $50 million, and these other guys are making what, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year? I don't know what they're making, but it's like when you look at the record industry, although it's done on DVDs and cassettes, it's all changed today, but the studio musicians were the ones that were behind most of these people, like the old soul songs like Marvin Gaye and other groups. The studio musicians were making the music for the recording, and then they put together a band to go on the road, and the band had to learn the songs, but they weren't like the studio musicians. The studio musicians were the best of the best. Okay? There was a guy that walked on one of those shows, Porn Stars, right? Which is probably a put-on reality show. And he whipped out a guitar that he used to play, and he had a list this big of famous musicians to play on their songs. He was a studio musician. What did he get? Maybe he got $500 a day. 300 in the old days, 200-300 a day. And these other characters were becoming millionaires, and this guy needed to sell his guitar to get money. So he got a good price for it because it was the actual guitar that had documentation and was used on actual recordings. So there's a market for that. So they don't make any money. You look at, some of these famous people get a call, hey, we need you to do a show here at a casino or a hotel or a concert hall or at Disney or something like that. And, we'll pay $200,000. And this particular person, they can't really get up there and just play the DVD through the speakers. They got to have a band, so they get together a band, right? So maybe they need 4 or 5 pieces. So they'll pay $2,000 a person to do a show. So for the studio musician, it's great money. They go and they do a show, they tie it up for an evening, they make $2,000. The other one clears $180,000 and loses 10% to the agent, so maybe walks away with 150, 160, because they got to get makeup, they got to get a wardrobe, they got to get this, they got to get that. But you could see how the disparity is, But I think this is like the writers and the people that are on the other side of the camera, behind the camera, these kind of people that are striking, not the big shot actors and stuff like that. You know, Stallone must be a billionaire by now with all the movies that character made. I mean, he had so many franchises. He had Rambo, Rocky, Creed, the Expendables. I probably missed a few. He must be a billionaire, this guy. You know. They live a life of extreme excess. Stallone once said there's not much left for him to accomplish. He hit the pinnacle in the entertainment industry. What did he do for mankind? Most of his movies deal with violence, revenge, vendetta, murder, killing. That's what he does. That's his themes. What did John Wayne do? The same thing. We don't really know what good themed movies would look like. I don't think we've ever seen it. Be interesting. Never saw it. Okay, kids. So I'm going to send my shalom to my Shabbat Shalom to all those who love Yeshua HaMashiach and Jehovah. And I will keep you posted. And I'll probably start picking up more tidbits about BRICS. Another thing that irritated Netanyahu big time is he wanted to get this visa-free travel to America accomplished so that Israelis fill out some forms, America clears them, and then, I don't know, for 10 years, whatever, they can just go to America. They don't have to go apply for any embassy visas or anything. And they can just come and go. They usually can stay in America up to 6 months. And then they got to be out for 6 months. I think that's how it works. And that would be very important to a lot of Israelis, especially those that do business. But what was going on in the past, which I think still goes on, is there's a thing called a 10-year visa. They have to be in business. You can't be just a regular person going to school or retired, or you're a teacher, or you drive a cab. You got to be in business, and you're dealing with America, and you can establish that you have people in America that are paying you money for your goods, and you're shipping stuff to America. If you could show them that, and you have a vital role in it, you're not the secretary, you travel to see the customers in America and stuff like that, and you've been doing that for a while. They do give out 10-year visas. They're not so easy to get, but they give them out. And that enables a person to go back and forth for up to 6 months at a time. So it goes on, but it's not like what they want. They want this visa-free program, so it would be a real feather in Netanyahu's cap if he got that. And he'd make points with the Israelis. Look what I did for you. I got you this, but Biden ain't giving it to them. Trump never gave it to them either. What this would also do is it would give it to Israelis that are not Jews. Palestinian Israelis that happen to be citizens would get this too, and I think that might be an issue with America, although I don't know. I think it's more to punish Israel because they're not listening. So Netanyahu is finished with them, and I don't think it's a wise move to go to China and Russia, but he does. So let's see what happens. Maybe he's just trying to scare Biden and show Biden, look, if you keep bearing down on me, this is what's going to happen. I'll go to your opposition. America probably isn't going to go and worry about this being blackmailed. So anyway, that's what I got for now. And I hope you got something out of this, and we'll keep watching this and pay attention. And I'm out. Thanks.